What is our identity? Several years ago, the powers that be in Anderson, Indiana, adopted a new logo for Church of God Ministries. This caused quite a controversy. People had invested their emotional energy in the logo of the three flames. Letterhead was printed, signs were built, the three flames were everywhere. How could we consider changing the primary logo? How could we change our identity so easily? Let me give you one example. In 2005, right after Hurricane Katrina, in the following weeks, people from Vero Beach, Florida, loaded an 18-wheeler with cleaning supplies, tarps, bottled water, pallets of food, and they headed out for Mississippi, not really with a destination in mind, but at some point in their journey, they exited I-59. 95A was the exit where they got off, and they saw a familiar symbol, the three flames. The same three flames that their church in Vero Beach, Florida used as their logo. They pulled in to our parking lot here at the First Church of God and immediately found a connection. Pallets of food were given to the Christian Food Mission. Tarps and building supplies were delivered to Morgan Brothers Woodworking for storage, and cleaning supplies were delivered to the Magnolia Center for anyone who was in need. Over the next several months, 2 additional trips by that group of people from Vero Beach, Florida came, and they cut down trees and they repaired roofs and they did all kinds of things here in Laurel, Mississippi, and they found the connection because of these three flames. None of that would have been possible if we didn't have that identity. The vote was taken, the assignments were made, the logo of Church of God Ministries was gone, and a new one with blue and green leaves floating around a central cross was in its place. One of the main reasons given for changing the logo was the empowerment of a new mission. Around the world, fire is often associated with evil or with the devil. And so when the missionaries would go into a new location and they would try to explain the meaning of the three flames and a spiritual significance and a connection with Acts chapter 2, people didn't really get it. They didn't understand it. The new logo embraced our identity, our central identity, as the cross. The leaves floating around the cross represent the other aspects of our lives that ultimately come into submission to the cross. And now missionaries are free to publicize the logo of Church of God Ministries, of our global strategy, knowing that our core belief in the cross is central to what we see. Now, it doesn't always help us because the cross in itself is often a figure or a symbol that breeds strong reactions, one way or the other. But in representing the Church of God, the new logo says Jesus is the subject, cross is central. The three flames have fallen into disuse in many places, but not for those people who invested in money and signs. You don't just go change those at the drop of a hat. What's the identity of the First Church of God? 13 and a half years ago, I took the mantle as pastor of this wonderful congregation, and on the letterhead was a pencil or pen and ink drawing of the outline of the building, much like you see behind me here. It was picturesque, serene, beautiful. This is the view that someone has when he or she is driving up the long driveway from Grandview to the building. Is that our identity? Is that how we think of ourselves? Is our identity inexorably tied to this form, this shape, this view, this perspective? Not long after I arrived, Hurricane Katrina roared through Laurel, ripping the roof off of this building and nearly destroying. Had it not been so well built, it is likely that we would not be looking at it from the same perspective, that we would have a very different picture right now. Can we be the church if our picture of ourselves changes? Is it possible for us to see ourselves ministering to a community from a different perspective? Is our identity tied to this building, this location, this patch of ground, or is our identity tied to the cross of Jesus? Are we living lives centered around what happens in this building we call the church, even though we know that the church is the people who come to the building and not the building itself? Could we become people of the cross in spite of our building? But is our greatest expression of who we are as a people tied in the building, the flag, or in the cross of Calvary? Philippians chapter 3, verses 7 through 9 says, "Whatever was to my profit, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ. What is more, I consider everything a loss compared to the surpassing greatness of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them rubbish, that I may gain Christ and be found in him."